For our latest blog post, we wanted to improve our code highlighting. And the way we do it, we are using Strapi for the actual content of the blog post written in markdown. And then for the code highlighting, we would use some packages and we want to do the code highlighting on the server side. So we could do that on the Strapi server itself, but since we are using Next.js, we can also leverage React server components to do exactly that. And we're going to see how we've done that right now. So the main goal is to not do the code highlighting on the client side, because for that you would need to add some extra amount of JavaScript to the front end, which we want to avoid. So what we did instead is we looked into this rehype pretty code, and what essentially it does is taking markdown and then seeing what are actually the code sections and then prettifying them. And as you can see, the code is very straightforward. This is the function that would be used to highlight the code. It just takes the string, which would be the markdown, and then it parses the markdown and then also adds the pretty code. And back you get the HTML that you can then insert into a DOM element using dangerously set in HTML. And then since the data is coming from our CMS and it's not user data, it's also safe to do it this way. So in our Next.js project, we have exactly that. We have a rich text component. So this component maps directly to the Strapi component that we can use in Strapi. And then it gets the text before we passed actually the HTML on the Strapi backend, which we don't need to do anymore because of the React server components. And then you can see we are using React server components because we have an async function. And that what is nice is it lets us also call await in this server components. And then the highlight code function is exactly what we saw on the example. So nothing fancy here, very straightforward. And back we get the formatted text or the HTML that we can use to insert it into the DOM again. So on the Strapi backend, what we have here is actually a sidebar layout collection type. So those we use in order to have a sidebar layout, and there are sidebar layout components, but here we would focus on the content components. And here we have the rich text component, which is rendered then on the Next.js frontend with our React rich text component. And as you can see here, we have some code which then is annotated by the language of this code. For example, here we have TypeScript. Then if we scroll up, we would also have shell scripts. And then how that looks is actually being seen here. So we have, for example, the highlighting for shell script, and then also we have highlights for TypeScript as an example here. As you can see, this one is not highlighted at all. And the reason for that is simply that there is no annotation for the language being done, because we don't automatically extract the language, which you could also do, but well, yeah, it's not too much work to do this like we do here. And then if you save it, I don't have to re-render because this is now running locally. You can see the code is actually highlighted. And then also, which is pretty nice, if you go on our production page where the blog post lives, the loading times are pretty insane. I mean, as you can see, I reloaded it. But since this is a React server component, which is cached, you don't have really any big loading times here. And then obviously also the output of the rehype formatting for this annotated or highlighted code is actually done only once, and then it's cached, and that's why the re-rendering is so insanely fast. So that's it for today. That's how we use rehype to annotate and highlight the code for our blog. If you found that interesting, then please leave us a like and also subscribe to our channel. Thanks a lot.